Audiobook Goodbye to Excess Weight: The Psychology of Lasting Change. Chapter 3. Psychological Correction of Eating Behavior. Eating behavior is generally understood as an eating pattern aimed at creating and maintaining one's body image while maintaining a familiar, everyday lifestyle. Eating behavior patterns depend on psychological attitudes related to food preparation and consumption habits, taste preferences, and the nuances of the emotional perception of food. Furthermore, it is an individual eating style that reflects a person's emotional needs and state of mind. In other words, eating behavior is that part of all aspects of our lives that relates to food. The role of nutrition in personality development and goal achievement. The importance of food and the process of eating it in our lives is difficult to overestimate. After all, nutrition is one of the most important factors in personality development. Eating behavior develops in early childhood. This occurs at an age that people usually don't remember, from birth to 2 to 3 years of age. This is a time not only of active growth but also of personality formation. During infancy, our life directly depends on whether we are full or hungry. Food and sleep are two fundamental and inextricably linked factors that shape our bodies and minds in the first hours, days, and years of our existence. The more satiated we are, the longer our sleep. The longer our sleep, the greater our hunger. The hunger we feel in early childhood is unique. It is directly linked to the instinct to preserve life. Only children can experience it. Nutrition plays a crucial role in a child's emotional development and influences their perception of the world. In children, satisfying hunger is inextricably linked to such basic psychological states as love, comfort, and security. Later, as we develop desires and the ability to respond to events, the importance of nutrition for health and life in general is reinforced in our minds by our parents. Considering that nutrition can be both rewarded and punished, the natural process of eating can gradually transform into an effective tool of external control, and then into a powerful instrument of control. The importance of nutrition in achieving one's goals very quickly becomes apparent to children. They begin to use feeding as a powerful, immediate means of influencing their parents and all who love them. Through their behavior and emotional reactions during mealtimes, the child learns to evoke anxiety, joy, and other expressions of attention in those they care about. In other words, they master the art of manipulation. As life progresses, food becomes increasingly important. It becomes a tool for communication and socialization, an essential component of social culture. Food becomes an indispensable element of festive events, a mediator in establishing and developing business or friendly relationships. Food can become a reward, compensation, pleasure, and even a means of self-defense. As life progresses, food gradually becomes not only a natural way to satisfy basic biological and physiological needs, but also a means of achieving higher aspirations, psychological and social. So-called psychosomatic or emotional disorders play a significant role in the development of eating disorders that lead to overeating and weight gain. These include low self-esteem, low stress tolerance, and a tendency toward anxiety and depression. Even in physically healthy and psychologically strong people, an overwhelming desire to reinforce is almost always associated with self-dissatisfaction and the negative emotions characteristic of this state, such as guilt, a sense of helplessness, and a lack of motivation to overcome life's challenges. Many people know from personal experience that stress almost always triggers an overwhelming desire to eat. But the influence of intrapersonal conflicts and other psychological issues on weight gain is only one side of the coin. Why is it so hard to diet? Those who have been on a diet know how difficult it is to restrict one's diet and constantly monitor the quantity and caloric value of the foods consumed. Under such conditions, internal protest and the associated resistance to prohibitions and the very need for self-restraint often arise. At some point, these restrictions begin to be perceived as an infringement on personal freedom. The need to lose weight, on the one hand, and resistance to self-restraint, on the other, create an internal conflict. This leads to an instinctive increase in appetite and culminates in a breakdown, manifested in compulsive overeating and the abolition of all prohibitions and restrictions on food. Excessive, uncontrolled food consumption, in turn, creates psychological grounds for the emergence of new ideas of self-blame. Guilt is a complex of negative emotions that generates a desire for comfort and to eat something tasty, again as compensation for emotional suffering. Thus, a vicious cycle develops. But the role of psychological factors in developing unhealthy eating behavior doesn't end there. Each person has their own set of life situations that naturally trigger a response, a craving for a snack. These triggers are many and varied. For some, turning on the TV or computer increases appetite. For others, it's a raised voice or the need to spend a long time waiting. And for others, eating is an integral part of making important decisions. I'm sure you can easily add to this list. Thus, it's absolutely clear that our psyche directly influences our attitude toward food and shapes our eating behavior. By overeating, we're trying to appease our brains, not our stomachs. Psychological issues are the leading cause of overeating and weight gain. By understanding the important role psychological factors play in nutrition, we can find answers to the most frequently asked questions. Why aren't simple dietary restrictions enough for weight loss? Why do diets only have temporary results? What should you do to lose weight and keep it off? You can't change your body without changing your mind. To overcome obesity, we need to fundamentally change our approach to treating this disease. The ingrained mental formula, to lose weight, you just need to eat less, doesn't work. For the body to begin to shed accumulated fat, it's necessary to first address the psychological causes that led to its accumulation. It's important to formulate goals correctly so that the body understands what exactly is expected of it. And only then can we carry out psychological correction of eating behavior. Psychotherapy is of paramount importance in all measures aimed at getting rid of excess weight. In this regard, I want to recall a case from the practice of renowned psychotherapist Milton Erickson. In his book, My Voice Will Stay With You, he told the story of a woman who, in order to lose weight, initially had to gain 10 kilograms. She repeatedly tried to lose the excess weight, and she succeeded quite easily. But each time, she gained it back. Gradually, a mental model developed in her mind that could be described by the phrase, lose weight, gain weight. To break this pattern, Milton Erickson changed this formula to gain weight, lose weight. He forced the woman to gain 10 kilograms, 22 pounds, before beginning weight loss. This was his mandatory condition, and the patient was forced to agree to it. Every kilogram gained, beyond the now customary upper limit, caused the woman psychological suffering and requests to revoke this instruction. But Milton Erickson persisted. And when her weight reached the target mark, he began therapy. When her weight dropped to a normal level, the woman felt completely happy. Her behavioral pattern also changed. Internally, she gave up trying to return to the starting point only to repeat the process. The formula gain weight, lose weight became completely unacceptable to her. She began monitoring her weight, maintaining it at a healthy level, and vowed to never gain weight again. Changing psychological patterns and stereotypes. Solving a problem sometimes requires stepping outside the usual stereotypes and trying to see it from a different perspective. Changing habitual attitudes and established stereotypes. Every person suffering from obesity has their own tolerance level, the weight they are willing to tolerate. Reaching or exceeding this threshold causes psychological discomfort and a strong desire to lose weight. Erickson's treatment approach was based on significantly exceeding the usual tolerance level, transforming it into something subjectively unacceptable and intolerable. What had been perceived as perfectly normal throughout her life became something unthinkable and painful. From that time on, the woman stopped gaining weight, fearing a repeat of what she had experienced. She began to control her weight, preventing it from increasing. Changing psychological attitudes is one of the most effective ways to change behavioral and thinking patterns. This isn't just a way to solve the problem, but also a way to block the very possibility of its recurrence. How to love yourself. Where do you begin on the path to positive change? The first thing you must do is make peace with yourself. Accept yourself with all your strengths and weaknesses, your many positives and negatives. Try to look at yourself impartially, as if from the outside. Abandon judgments and evaluative stereotypes. Take a good look at yourself. Look within. I'm sure you'll see not only your flaws, but also your strengths. Don't be harsh, but be fair. Try to befriend yourself. Better yet, love yourself. There's no need to compare yourself to anyone. This would only make sense if your ideal prototype existed. But there's no better or worse version of yourself. You are unique. You are a whole world. Unlike anyone else. Harmonious. Self-sufficient. And perfect in your own way. You cannot be better or worse than anyone else, just as one universe cannot be better or worse than another. You are unique. Finding peace with yourself is the first and most important step to success, not just in weight loss, but in all other areas of your life as well. Once you've made peace with your inner self, examine and study your body. The body is an important and integral part of our personality. It's not a spacesuit inhabited by our spiritual essence, which can be replaced or corrected by a plastic surgeon if no longer needed. Our body and our spirit are one. They are inseparable halves of a single whole. They cannot be viewed in isolation. Learn to live in your body. Try to feel and understand the connections between your body and mind. Perceive yourself as the result of the interaction of your physical shell with your intellect, emotions, spirituality, moral concepts, and habits formed over the course of your life. There are simple yet highly effective meditation techniques that allow you to feel and recognize the connection that unites our spiritual and physical natures. Free yourself from the ego's dictatorship over your body, from its attempts to block your transformation. Such practices help open the way to the natural expression of your nature and find harmony with yourself. A body united with your mind allows you to live within existing conditions, rather than trying to survive, striving to escape reality at any cost. There's a similar meditation on my YouTube channel. You can begin your journey of transformation with it. It's called The Union of Body and Mind, Basics of Meditation for Inner Peace and Happiness. This technique for working with your inner self allows you to put your ego and your physical body in their proper place. Allow your spiritual essence to embody within its physical shell, rather than existing separately from it. This is crucial for finding harmony not only in your inner world but also in your outer world. If you accept yourself as a spiritual person, then you must also accept your body. Stop hiding it from yourself. Start wearing clothes that are your true size. Celebrate and accentuate your figure's advantages with your clothing. I assure you they exist, even if you currently weigh a lot and feel unattractive. Recall all the situations you try to avoid because of your weight, and consider how you can reduce the emotional stress associated with the possibility of their recurrence. Try not to avoid such situations in the future. And finally, stop worrying about what others think of you. It's a futile and completely useless exercise. I assure you that even if you had the looks of a supermodel, there would still be plenty of people ready to criticize you. In life, it's not how others judge you that matters, but how you feel about yourself. Only your self-esteem matters. Work on improving it. And to do this, by accepting yourself, accept your life too. Don't avoid thinking about unpleasant topics. Every person's life is varied and unpredictable. It can be bright and dull, slow and fast, predictable and unexpected. It has ups and downs, unforgettable wonderful periods, and those we don't want to remember. Our lives are filled with events, and they too come in all shapes and sizes. Joyful and sad, cheerful and sad, memorable and unnoticeable. We are capable of experiencing happiness and can even fly from the feeling of lightness in our souls. But we are also familiar with downs, depression, and the feeling of being stuck in life. The events that occur in our lives give rise to our thoughts and emotions. We react to what happens to us because we can't help but react. Our thoughts and emotions are similar to the events of our lives. They too can be bright, cheerful, and exhilarating, or heavy and colorless. And to a large extent, our psychological state is determined not by what our life actually is, but by how we perceive it, how we relate to what happens to us. Any event can be viewed through rose-colored glasses or through thick, black lenses. And our perception of what we see will be strikingly different. It also happens that we simply don't see certain events or simply don't want to notice them. It turns out that our joys and sorrows are largely subjective and actually depend little on what causes them. Events that influence our emotional state and our perception of reality can be completely ordinary, and for some, completely unnoticeable. We fixate on them not because they objectively deserve it, but because we looked at them at the wrong time, from the wrong angle, or with the wrong lenses. Never avoid thinking about topics that are unpleasant to you. Don't be afraid to think them through. Explore them. Consider them from all angles. With this approach, your attitude toward the reasons that cause you suffering will inevitably change. You will feel stronger than your circumstances. You will regain your sense of confidence and security. You will realize that you are gaining control over your fears and anxieties. How to get rid of guilt. To improve your self-esteem, it is crucial to free yourself from guilt. Stop subconsciously blaming yourself for every negative aspect of your life. Free yourself from the feeling that you owe something to someone. You must learn not to put the interests of others above your own. Stop seeing any meaning or necessity in self-sacrifice and self-denial. Give up the habit of perceiving the suppression of manifestations of oneself as an integral part of correct upbringing, as good manners or a high style of communication with others. I'm not encouraging you to become selfish. Being selfish is very difficult and ultimately bad. Selfishness makes life unbearable. But self-suppression is downright dangerous. A dignified attitude toward yourself and your needs not only helps boost your self-esteem but also allows you to escape the psychological pressure of manipulative people. Because instilling guilt is their favorite weapon. It's the string they use to pull their victims and control them at their own discretion. Of course, independently working with guilt is quite a difficult task. After all, this complex develops in early childhood and is inextricably linked to our relationships with those closest and dearest to us. It may have guided our decision-making, emotions, and behavior throughout our lives. Understanding this and changing it can be difficult. But it is absolutely necessary. This will help you clear away negative emotions, unnecessary, false, or misunderstood opinions and value judgments stuck in your childhood memories, which for some unknown reason have become very important to you and, like a splinter, continue to cause you suffering to this day. You will free yourself from the psychological burden of undeserved accusations and unfair punishments. You will also free yourself from bad memories. By making peace with yourself, your life, and learning to navigate difficult situations, you will free yourself from negative emotions. This isn't just a bad mood. It's the foundation upon which all your failures are built. A positive attitude toward yourself and the world you live in opens the doors through which success comes. Is it hard to be yourself? Remember once and for all, you don't need to try to be better than you really are. In any situation, in any environment, you just need to be yourself. Love yourself. After all, only by feeling love for yourself can you love the world you live in. I emphasize again that in this context, self-love is not a selfish feeling. It is not vanity based on a sense of superiority and a desire to dominate others. It is the correct, creative attitude toward the good and bright within each of us. To what some call the divine principle, which forms the foundation of our personality. This cannot be neglected as something unimportant. By cultivating this bright and positive foundation of your true self, you will gradually free yourself from misjudging the events of your life, from feelings of inferiority, and from guilt complexes. You will be able to shed false values and take a fresh look at what you've long been accustomed to and what has become commonplace. You will see your goals in their true light. A path of transformation will open before you, a journey you will truly desire to take. By developing self-love and self-respect, you will create the conditions for achieving success in your life. You will feel unique and needed in this world. You will stop feeling like a failure. You will believe in yourself. Working with yourself is crucial for changing your eating behavior. A correct perception of yourself, your capabilities, your higher purpose, and your life will automatically reduce the importance of food in your life's priority values to its rightful level. You will perceive food as a natural way to maintain physical strength. Nothing more. You will be able to separate food and everything associated with it from true, higher values, spiritual, cultural, and social. Food will cease to be a marker of success for you. It will recede into the background. By changing your relationship with food, you can easily adjust your consumption and free yourself from its influence on your emotions and self-esteem. You'll take the first and most important step toward liberating yourself from food addiction. All subsequent steps toward your ideal weight, health, and longevity will be easier, because there are proven, highly effective techniques, practices, and trainings for moving forward in this direction. They all serve different purposes. There are many of them, and they are varied. I'll discuss them in the following chapters of this book. But you need to start by working on increasing your self-esteem and building self-confidence. You can't move forward until you're on your feet.